All right, so we are going to be doing a scan for a patient's night guard today, and we are going to be using the Cerec Primescan. So this is how you want to set up the unit. Just let's take note. Your patient have their bib on, chair cover, and then you just need a bracket tray cover, the 2 barriers. You do want to have 2x2s with alcohol. Those can be found on the carts on either end of the clinic, and this is to wipe down the screen of the scanner. So in the very beginning, after you have cavi wiped this, I also have cavi wiped this with the specific CAD/CAM wipes that we will have out at the front near the sterilization area in the clinic. I wipe down the screen, I wipe down the pad here. You're going to wipe down the full scanner, the cradle, and the handle here. After everything is wiped down, you will take the 2x2 with alcohol and you will wipe the screen, and it just removes any residue that's left over from the cavi wipes. All right, and then I will set that. You always set this face down in the cradle, just like this. It should fit nice and snug. It should lock in. All right, and if you look at the screen here, we are always going to be using the Connect SW. It will be in the middle of the screen so that it's easier to find. Do not click on the Cerec SW. You will double click this. Just a note, to turn this unit on, there's a power button right here. You just push and hold that, and it will start up just like a computer. And this will take a couple of minutes. This unit does not have to be plugged in to be able to be used. I always just plug it in just so in case you take an extra long time to scan, you will not run the battery down, and it can just be plugged in and behind the unit here. All right, so this is the screen when you first open it up. You are going to click on Add New Patient, and you are going to add the last name, then first name first. So I'm going to add my patient in here. You also need to put their date of birth in, which is, remind me?
10/15/86.
Oh. All right, you do not need to select patient ID or a dentist. Leave those blank. She's actually already in here. I just wanted to show you what a new patient is. So I'm actually going to select her from the screen that was on there. But otherwise, you will add your new patient in. And you're going to hit to the administration screen. You're going to come over here, and there's this little arch. It's the third one down on this little panel. And you are going to select, it's going to be default to impression, but you want it to be on impression because that's what we're going to take today. You can either hit next or you can hit acquisition. Does not matter. It's going to get you to the next screen. This is the screen that you are going to now scan in. So I like to put this behind the patient. So and I also like to stand. You can sit in a clinician chair or you can stand, does not matter, just whichever way you are more comfortable. You want your patient to be laying flat. And you can try both ways. You can sit for part of it and then stand for the other and play around with both. All right. Also, I want you to note on here, it starts with lower jaw, then upper jaw, and then buccal is actually the bite registration. You can try to follow them in order. If for some reason you mess up, do not delete the scan. We can switch the boxes, but try to follow that order. So I am going to pick this up over here. And there is a little kick button right on the bottom. If you kick it up, it will start the scanner, you saw the blue. It's gonna shine blue. All right, so you are gonna start with the occlusal surface first, then we're gonna drop down to the buccal, and then we will do the lingual. All right, so I'm gonna have you open nice and wide. And sometimes if your patient has a lot of saliva, you can dry it, but I usually just ask the patient to go like this before we start and try to get as much saliva down as possible. And I'm going to kick this on. And I'm going to start right in the back. And again, we are going to do the occlusal first. There's like a little song that you will hear, and that means that it's scanning. You also want to look at the screen as much as you can because it's going to tell you whether you are scanning or not. If it stops scanning, you know that you need to go back. You always want to go back to a previously scanned area, otherwise you will not be able to move on. And I'm just going to change direction here and go back. So I'm doing the buckle now because I completed the occlusal first. Okay, good. Usually at this point I can give my patient a little break. So yep, just going to swallow. And then again, I'm going to start on the occlusal because I'm first going to pick up that little song. And then I'm going to drop down to the lingual. You're going to gently push the patient's tongue out of the way so that you can get down in that area. Okay, good. And then I'm just going to go back and clean up a couple areas. Good. All right. So now this is a touch screen, and you can touch this because we will wipe the screen down after. You basically just want to swing it around and make sure that you have all of the teeth in there, that you're not missing any big areas of anatomy. There's a little scatter right here on the top. You can see how it looks like there's like pink tissue that's actually not supposed to be there. I'm going to go over one more time to see if I can clean that up. If it does not take it away, I'm actually just going to move on and see that if it will correct it once we fabricate the model at the end. So there, yep, it took it away. So we are good to go. And that lower is all set. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to hit the upper. And again, we are going to start with the occlusal. You always want to have the occlusal first so you gather your first initial information. Okay, good. And then on the upper, you can do the lingual or the buccal first. I prefer to do the lingual because you already have a lot of the information and it goes pretty quick. But you will not get points off if you prefer to do the buccal first. It honestly does not matter. And again, I'm just going to give her a quick break because we did the occlusal and the lingual. And for this scanner, it does not matter whether you start on the right or left. It's just clinician preference. So we're going to pick up that song. And this, I'm going to have the patient bite down a little bit. Good. It just loosens up the cheek so you can get the scanner in the way back. That is one of the hardest areas to get, is the maxillary upper buccal molars, just because the cheek's in the way, and this scanner tends to be a little bit on the larger side. So sometimes if a patient has a really small mouth, it can be hard to reach that back there. But if you have the patient bite down, it actually loosens up their cheek rather than them having to be wide open. It won't stretch. And then, good, I'm just gonna get back here one more time and then bite down just a little bit. Beautiful. Okay. All right, and then again, I'm just gonna check through. There's a little bit of scatter up there. See this little spot we're missing on the premolar? So I'm just gonna go back in to that area specifically. You never wanna scan an area more than once or twice, because if you add too much information, it actually will cause the scanner to stop working completely. And there's a little bit of tissue right over 8 and 9, so I'm gonna quickly go back and just see if we can clean this up. Also note that I am actually hovering over the teeth with this scanner. You do not set, for the Cerec Primescan, you do not set the scanner directly on the teeth. You will hover just a couple 1 to 2 millimeters off of the teeth. Okay, there's a little bit of scatter. And lastly, we are going to it says buccal, but just know it's bite registration. So you're gonna have the patient open first. You are gonna put the scanner in, you are gonna pull their cheek out, and then you're gonna have them bite in their normal bite. And you're gonna say, please hold. You're gonna start the scanner with the back molars, and you're almost gonna zigzag up and down so that you get both arches. All you need to scan is molar to canine. This is the only box that you will get a green check mark. Remember, you will not get a green check mark for lower or upper, but you do need a green check mark for the bite registration, or it will not let you fabricate the model. Now, if we remember anything we've learned about occlusion, someone can have a different bite on the left side than they have on the right side. So you do need to take both bite registrations. You will not get 2 green check marks, but you still need to get both. And then you're gonna ask your patient to bite. Make sure they are completely biting before you start the scanner. If they are not in complete occlusion, it will not work. You will need to stop. You will be able to just delete out the bite registration and start back over. All right, now that we have both, we are gonna hit model, or you can hit the next arrow. Again, it does not matter. And this usually takes a couple minutes. At this time, please set the scanner back in the cradle because you do not want to drop this. That is the most expensive part of this unit. And we just wait. Don't touch anything at this point on the screen, just let it do its job. If your patient's uncomfortable, you can sit them up at this point. So I'll sit her up, sorry, as I'm sorry. Just for patient comfort, you might have a patient who's a little uncomfortable laying back. So you will, sit them up and just tell them it's gonna be a couple minutes while this loads. All right, perfect. Then we come over here. There will be a couple options at the bottom. You notice that it looks gray right here. If you go over to view model with the green check mark, that is where we can now look at our model. And it's gonna break it up into each section. So sometimes the window pops up automatically, but otherwise you're gonna hit this little blue little eyeball here, and that will give you the options to do upper, lower, and together. So what I first wanna do is I'm gonna look at the lower, and you just wanna swing this around and make sure that we have all of the teeth, all of the margins, that we're not missing anything, and then there's no extra areas that the computer system added. Then we're gonna put it together. We're gonna look at their bite. Let's make sure that the bite that we see on the screen here is actually the patient's bite. That looks accurate. Then you're gonna take away the lower jaw so that we can look at the upper jaw. If we are making an upper night guard, remember we are scanning for night guards. You wanna make sure that you have the entire distal margin of the molar because we are making an upper night guard. If you're missing that, you have to go back and do it. Otherwise, the lab will not be able to fabricate a night guard for us. And it looks like we have all the information we need on that. We're gonna go back. This is supposed to be a little D for dent sply. You hit that, and then you're gonna save it. All right, and then there will be another video showing you how to export this off to Sprint Ray so that we can then send it over for 3D printing a night guard. Thank you.